The Icons of Real Estate Podcast. Are you ready to learn the proven money-making secrets from top-producing icon agents? Ready to skyrocket your business? This podcast is for you. Tune in every week with your host, Tomasz Fonseca, and find out how to implement proven strategies to 10 times your business, from $3 million to $30 million in just 12 months. Brought to you by the Masters in Real Estate Marketing, Arter SEO.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Icons of Real Estate podcast. I am Luis, your host, and today we have a very special guest, Hannah from South Florida, who's one of the top realtors in her area. She has closed around 40 transactions, and she has a lot of experience to share with us today. So, how are you today, Hannah?
Hey, I'm doing well. Thank you.
That is great. Can you start telling us your story about how did you start into the real estate business?
Sure. So I actually didn't start my career in real estate. I actually started as a teacher. I taught school for around 10 years in elementary level. Sometimes I did substitute work, but as we started a family, it was not my goal to be at a 9-to-5 job, and I wanted to do something that allowed me to be home with the family. And I think that's why I did substitute work more, just so I had the flexibility. But as time went on, I kind of my needs and just my interests changed a lot. And my husband and I have renovated our own homes. And so because of that, we started to see the ins and outs of real estate, so to speak, even in purchasing our own home. And it was very interesting to me. And so just kind of on the side, while I was still teaching, I started doing the classes and getting my real estate license. And then it just basically, I jumped in full force, and it was fun, and I loved it. And it was like, and instantly I knew this is where I needed to be. And so I'm finishing up my third year. So about to start my fourth year. And so it's just been a blast, and I love it. And it's just been a good transition for me.
And were you so successful since the first year?
Well, it immediately, it's basically been a similar average each year in real estate. So I can't remember exactly, maybe 9 to 12 transactions that first year.
Wow.
I was coming in kind of where the market was about to change and transition downward. So I always say it's a God thing, because it was the transactions that came in were just, sorry, did I lose you?
No, I'm okay.
Okay, I think I lost a phone call came in. Sorry about that.
No. All good.
So I think that, let me go back to my answer to the question. So I think when I jumped in real estate, like, I wasn't sure exactly what I was doing, and I tell people it's a God thing, because the transactions that came in were just kind of like amazing. Like, I would be at a property, just like looking at the property, and all of a sudden a client would drive up and say, "Hey, are you a realtor? Can you show this to me?" And that's kind of not the typical way you meet your clients. And
all right.
But those transactions, I was able to make some really good, meet some good clients and just convert them into transactions. And it just basically, I hit the ground running from the very beginning. And so it was really neat, just that first year, where a lot of times realtors do struggle, and there's a very high failure rate. And we're not in a huge market. Florida is booming, but our average home sale is 200 to 300,000. So we're not in this multi-million-dollar market. And so just being able to just start working right away, and I think that helped kind of propel me to continue on and not be part of that failure rate in realtors.
Awesome. And what are the current trends in South Florida real estate market? And
So I'm more in the Panhandle. So I'm kind of near Alabama. So our market kind of hit a stale when the interest rates jumped up. We saw a drastic decrease in sales, and just homes are sitting on the market a lot longer. We are still getting a lot of, as far as people moving here from other northern states. So we still have a lot of activity in our market. Just it's just not been as active as it was, say, that first year that I first started. So we saw just things slow down quite a bit. But it's hoping that we'll see a continual rate drop, which will help us with our with our local market conditions.
Awesome. And what advice would you give to a first-time home buyer in your area?
I think that take advantage of programs. Like we have a Florida bond program, we have a Hometown Heroes program. These are programs which allow you to defer those down payments to the end of the loan. Finding a local lender, I think that's key. I partner with a local lender here in the area, and I like to send referrals his way just because he sits down with them and just talks through all the pros and the cons, the interest rates, and getting things in order before you're ready. Because sometimes when you think you're ready to buy a home, you may not have everything in order with your credit. And so because sometimes this starts 6 months in advance, sometimes it starts a year in advance to getting things paid off. Like I had one client my first year, and she was having to pay a high rate. And the lender looked at her credit and he said, "Hey, you have this $300 medical bill. If you pay this medical bill, it's going to jump your credit score." And in the end, that $300 bill, having paid it off, it raised her credit score 56 points, which is
Wow,
like
that's a lot.
crazy. But having a lender that will tell you that, like, that's huge. Someone that's going to be on your team. And so I try to, as a realtor, I try to build a team around me, like inspectors and people that I trust that I can send my clients to. And of course, they have the choice of picking who they want for these transactions, but just knowing people that are going to support us and just make it a smooth process, and that someone that's looking out for them, that way they're covered, and that we're looking out for their best interests.
All right, all right. What are the key factors to determine a property value in South Florida?
Repeat
And
that
how?
question.
What are the key factors to determine a property value?
The value of the home.
Yeah.
So obviously, when I first see a list price, if a client shows me a home or if I send it out to them, I try to, before we ever even see the home, I try to go ahead and we have several websites that we can go to and basically do what an appraiser will do. We'll look at the comparable properties. We'll look at a surrounding area. We try to start with like a quarter mile, even up to a half-mile radius around the property. And then we see what homes have sold in the past 3 months. And so if you're seeing the average price per square foot is not comparable, say the one you're going to buy is at, say, $189 a square foot, and everything in the area is selling for $139 a square foot. Well, there's already a problem there. And then, so if the home supports it, maybe it's got a pool and it's got a brand new everything. Well, okay, well then we can start working with that number. But sometimes a seller just wants a high price, and it's not going to appraise, and it's going to all fall apart on you. So I like
Yeah.
to, before we ever even write a contract, let's see if this home is worth what they're asking.
Awesome, awesome. And what advice would you give in this case? Because we also have the audience are realtors who are trying to get into the real estate market, and they were not so lucky to have 12 transactions on the first year. So what advice would you give to these new realtors that are trying to get into the real estate market?
Be patient. I think when I first started, I had several realtor friends who basically gave me the worst case scenario. You may fall on your face and it may be terrible and you may make $0. And I guess they prepared me for failure, which in a way I'm grateful. In a way I'm like, you could have given me a little better encouragement.
Yeah.
But I think you do need to realize it might be a while before you make money. And even though I had a very successful end of my first year, it was 5 months before I closed my first transaction. I was
Oh,
putting in offers, but I didn't close a transaction for 5 months. So all of those transactions happened in the end of that first year of real estate, not at the beginning. And so I think basically don't set your expectations extremely high, but also don't give up. I think that's the thing. And beat the streets. Basically, go everywhere you can to network. and you don't want every conversation to be, hey, I'm a realtor, you want to buy a house? Because in reality, your friends are probably going to watch you from a distance, and they're probably not going to trust you with their transactions right away because they don't know what you don't know what you're doing, and they know it. And
Yeah.
so my first clients were not friends. I did have one friend that trusted me, and I'm thankful she did, but for the most part, they're all watching you to see if you're successful. And so I think you're wanting to get your name out, but also don't let that be your first conversation. Like, get to know these people as networking opportunities without shoving real estate on them immediately. And I think as you build those connections in the community, then they're going to say, hey, what do you do? And that's when you can insert that, hey, I'm a realtor, let me know if you need anything. And I think you build genuine friendships, and it's not marketing, and it's not super sales pitchy, because people don't like salesmen. They
No.
always have that little bit of, why did you say hi to me? Oh, you've got a new job. Oh, you're going to sell me something. And so I think being genuine, that's the key.
All right. And are your sales coming from referrals, or where are you getting your leads from?
So initially, it was more of new people that I've met in the community. Like I told you, I met several just at homes that maybe properties were that were investment opportunities. I work with a couple investors, and so that those are homes that are not typical. Those are cash sales that are not in good condition. So you've got several different types of clients. You've got your first-time home buyers, and you've got investors. But most of them at the beginning were not referrals. But I'm just now getting to a point in, as far as several years in, where, like, I got a phone call yesterday. Is, hey, you sold a house to my sister-in-law. We want to work with you. They just love the transaction. So I think, as far as at this point, I'm hoping that I can build my sales to be referral based, because I want to do such a good job on the transaction that they can't help but referring me. I think customer service communication is really important. And I worked under a realtor for my first year, and then I went out on my own. And at that point, when I was on my own, I didn't have a transaction coordinator, and I was in the process of trying to find a new one when a transaction came in, and I had to do everything myself. And it was really neat to see every single step of the transaction and have to put my hands on it and have to put every paper in front of my buyers, because I had to know everything. And so I think even new realtors need to I think sometimes you need to not have a transaction coordinator. Yes, you need to have someone making sure you're doing everything properly, but it's so good to know the ins and outs of the transaction. And that way, when your client calls you and they want to know, what's happening. You know that everything is happening in the right timing. And I think that builds your referral basis, because they say, hey, she knows what she's doing, and she's got my contract under control.
Awesome, awesome. And what are the next steps for your career, Hannah? I mean, are you looking to do more transactions? Are you looking to recruit people for your brokerage? What are you trying to do?
So we definitely would love to expand our brokerage here in this area, because I have young children at home. I've tried to be careful to not make my children hate my career, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to be a mom at night when they're home from school, and I want to make sure that I don't go too crazy and expand too quickly. I like the pace that things are going, but down the road, I definitely would love to just to expand it, to be able to pull in more transactions, and also some mentorship. I feel that even early on, there's some things that I wish I had had as a realtor. And so I really feel like having a mentorship program is something that I would love to do. And especially having teaching in my background, I see things that are
Yeah.
important
You know how
that
to teach.
I would love to be able to just help people have a good start. That way they can do well because they have the knowledge.
Yes, that's amazing. That's amazing. Is there something else you would like to share, or any advice, any general advice you would like to share to your audience, Hannah?
Hmm. I know I mentioned God earlier, but trusting God is super important to me in my own life, because there are so many things in my transactions that, like, closed doors and just like, I even remember one that I was literally in tears because things were falling apart so quickly. And I have several friends that I call, I'm like, hey, I need you to pray for me. But it's just amazing that I've seen God open doors for things that there should be no answer but no, but we get like a yes. And I think that that's very important to me in my personal walk. It's just, sometimes it's just pray and be like, God, I need help with this, and trusting that he will help me. And that has been like, that's the way I've built my business. And my clients know that I will pray for their transaction and I will pray that things work out. Sometimes it's a closed door. Sometimes it's like, no, walk away. And that's what I think it's important to get guidance, whichever direction it's going to go.
That is beautiful. That is beautiful, Hannah. Well, it was such a pleasure to have you here at Icons of Real Estate. You have a lot of experience, and I can see your career is going to the right direction. I think you're going to be one of the top 1% realtors soon, very soon.
Well, thank you for that. I'm praying.
Let's pray about it. Perfect, Hannah. Thank you very much, and see you another time.
Appreciate it. You have a great day.
You too.